Before I leave content creation and go missing potentially for a couple of months while I focus on my next book, it's really important I focus on this, and I'm already feeling inspired creatively. So there won't be any more videos now for I reckon maybe perhaps even to June. Who knows? Yeah, I just thought I'd talk about the pursuit of love and relationships. The reason I'm talking about this really is because it weighs heavily on my mind, and I'm aware really perceptions people might think, because you have high standards, you up yourself, you think you're too good for this, too good for this, that. And reality is, all of us should have high standards, and that's why I really want to talk about this. Really, I want to talk about my standards, and it might give people um, a pause for thought. Really, maybe contemplate why many lower their standards so much just to have a companion because it doesn't serve you any good. So there's certain criteria I seek. I'm like you could argue I'm incredibly picky, but it's just my standards are that high. So I'm not looking for the most attractive person in the world. I'm not looking for the someone with high status or anything like that. They don't impress me. Of course, you want someone on a level of attraction where because you've got to be attracted to someone, of course. But I don't think you have to be a supermodel or anything crazy. So there's like levels to this. It's not like I think when someone seeks attention, like they go above and beyond seeking attention, for me that's a red flag. Now I understand some people are just a bit more promiscuous. They just their personality, but I'm not seeking that in someone. Someone can be you can be beautiful, you can have confidence in yourself. But I think there's ways to express it. And I think when people are overly flirty, for me for me is a red flag in the sense that one of my biggest things that I seek in someone is loyalty. That I can absolutely trust them. Because if you don't have trust, what do we have? And for me that is crucial. And in all honesty, I think we can all really attest if you look around. How many people do you genuinely trust in your life? They don't gossip behind your back. They don't wish for your downfall. Uh, they won't jump and leave you at the first opportunity of someone else seeming to have more. All these things. This is not insecurities. This is standards. That's one thing I just will not. I will not even lower it. And that is a big reason why I'm single and I have been for like 8 years because my standards are that high and I assess I'm always assessing. And there's obviously other criteria, but for me that's a huge one and it's a rare commodity in people. And it's not something you can guarantee to get right either. You can't, you might think you've figured it all out and someone can still betray you. In the same way we can betray people. Like I know who I am, but you've got to try and figure out who other people are, don't you? And it's a big thing. So sometimes you might hold someone in high regard and they still let you down. They still betray you in some way. And sometimes maybe they don't consider it a betrayal, but you do because you hold someone, you hold people accountable. But like I say, I think people, the standards are low. But I just think if someone's overly promiscuous and flirty, it's like why do you seek that attention from other people and potential validation? And and then that can lead to something else. And it's like I don't really need that headache in my life personally. To each their own. That's not saying someone can't or shouldn't do that, but it's saying that doesn't fit with me. That doesn't fit in my lifestyle. So I'd rather avoid that. Thank you. So someone could be like really beautiful, and you could monitor, you could see them, and they're very flirtatious, and then maybe they try that on you as well. Like, and you're looking, thinking, no, I'm no chance. I'm not interested. And some may then go, oh, they're so gay because so many people would, and it's like that's nothing to do with any of that, is it? I'm not a statistic. I'm not just a number. I'm not a tick box. Yeah, so I have values that are just different to other people. I'm not looking for moments. I'm looking for long term relationship, and that's all I want. Chaos. Otherwise, chaos breeds in the middle of all that. There's a lot of chaos that comes from having a crazy lifestyle. So yeah, loyalty for me is the biggest one. It's something I will not budge on. I think compatibility, of course, is huge as well. I think coexisting with someone who isn't really aligned or has the same values or has a similar maybe personality or expectations in life, I think it would be too hard. It's constant battles. People can inevitably get jealous if you're not pulling in the same direction. There'll be jealousy, so they'll just be resentful, and then arguments ensue. I've got I could argue with the best of people, but I don't see how arguing on a regular basis is really going to be productive. I think life's hard enough as it is. I think if you're sort of pulling in the same direction, you're sort of lifting each other up constantly. I think then you're building towards a sustainable, happy, progressive, ambitious life. Everything's moving forward. It's not competition. I think that's what life should be. I think some areas of our life is always going to be a challenge. There's going to be burdens. There's going to be obstacles. But I think when you're at home, life should be far more easier. It should flow. If it doesn't flow, there's a problem. And that's another thing. So of course, it's like the standards are getting higher and higher here, aren't they? Because personality matters a lot. I show one side of my personality, so people maybe see a professional, serious side, but I'm also kind of silly and goofy. And maybe some may even consider it immature at times, but it's not understanding maybe who I am. And it's like people have to accept us too. And I don't want someone. So I want, all these criteria. It's almost like I'm looking for a miracle. In all honesty, maybe in a society, in a world where maybe that miracle doesn't exist, and I'm prepared to go alone for my entire life if that miracle is not met. And that's just how I am. So you could argue, oh, he's too picky, he's selective, he thinks too much of himself. I think a lot of myself, and I think we all should. And my standards are just that high. It's like I can't back down from that. So I'm not looking for someone who is successful and is ambitious, but they don't know how to relax. Everything's too intense. It's like, oh, I don't need that. I don't need that. It's good to be intense when we're focused and there's like a goal. But you can't be intense constantly. You drive yourself nuts. So I think lifestyle choices and habits are also important, because otherwise, again, you're all just pushing in different directions. So it's really just compatibility, isn't it? So really, we're looking for people who are just completely compatible with us, and loyalty is, of course, important. That doesn't mean people stay when they're unhappy. But I think have at least put the effort in to try to make things work, but obviously be compatible in the beginning. I think too much people always look for the grass is greener everywhere else all the time, and I just think, oh my god, the grass isn't always greener somewhere else. It's where do you put your effort? If you're never going to put the effort in, you're always going to take the easy way out. Guess what? You're jumping from moment to moment. It doesn't make sense to me. I think if you get a chance. If you loved someone, then there's every chance you love them still. It's like, but how can you make it work? Of course, it takes two people. But like I say, my standards are just a bit ridiculous, I guess, sometimes, and it's just like, but I don't see how you could accept any less, because any less is chaos. Why would you want chaos just because it's coated in something sweet? I see beyond the temptation, and I see the rest of it. Um, and the one thing I think to recognize is what one person is attracted to doesn't mean the other person is, like other people. So like we all have our type. We all have an expectation. And that's what it comes down to, that compatibility. Like our soul knows what it seeks. So someone else, like again, some people may just live entirely superficial. They're only interested in people who are extremely beautiful on the outside. And, sometimes you might get that fortunate where someone is that beautiful on the outside and they're an incredible human being as well. So I don't think it's good to pigeonhole attractive people as a bit corrupt in some way or negative, because I don't think that's the case at all. But there's a lot who use their beauty to their own benefit, of course. And I just couldn't be with someone who's empty-minded, toxic, or whatever, just because they're on the outside. It looks beautiful, It's just that's. I don't see the beauty in that. But, I think far more your personality is the most beautiful thing we carry. And I think if the aesthetic can match that, or at least go some way to add into a layer of attractiveness, I think that's great, isn't it? Because, like I say, you've got to be attracted to someone. I think it's on so many layers. And again, it's not what one person expects. It's what what your expectation is. But yeah, so I just thought we'd just talk about that. Really, the fact that I've been single for a long time, and in all honesty, I don't see it changing anytime soon. Because even when I meet people and I think, I know you're a good person, they still choose easy ways out. They always choose easy options, and rather than take a leap of faith and give it a chance. It's almost like and I'm always transparent with people. If I'm attracted to someone, like, and you consider and you see them as a potential romantic partner, I'm always quite transparent about that. Like, it's not expecting them to say, "Oh, I see that in you," but the point is, because there is that between us, it's like like if you like if it's a workplace, you can still be colleagues. Do you know what I mean? There's situations like this. If it's professional, you can still be professional, but we can't be friends outside of work. We can't be friends away from a project or something like that. So if there's no project, we can't be friends. And I make that clear because I get the real problem is a lot of people put other people in friend zones. Effectively, they consider it safe. So they think, you know what? I don't want to risk that. It's too precious. So I'm going to keep them like on the periphery so I never lose them. That's really the understanding is they keep you there. And it's like, and then they'll go take themselves into another relation, into a different situation because maybe it seems exciting or whatever the reason is. And it always falls to shit. It always falls to shit. And then eventually go, why can't I meet someone like you? And it's like, you just met me. You already know me. What are you talking about? You know, not saying it's specifically exactly like that in my life, but I do make it quite clear to people early on that I'm not interested in a friendship. I'm just not. And it's like, that's not me putting pressure on someone. You could argue it is, but it's not the reason for it at all. I'm not trying to give people ultimatums to say, oh, it's this or that. And it's, you know, it's not a case of that at all. It's me respecting my future partner. Because, you know, if there is an attraction to someone, that's something you have to just kill off immediately and just say, like, I can't, that's not, I'm not. And eventually you become ambivalent to it anyway. Over time, you wouldn't be attracted to them because you've lost it. Um, but I don't think it should be something that you carry into a relationship, in all honesty. I think that person, when you enter a relationship, that's your priority. And that's exactly how I am. So even if I really like someone and they're a really nice person and you think, I don't want to lose that friendship, but there's chemistry between you, it has to go. It has to go. I don't have time for that. That's just a temptation. That's a distraction. That's not saying that you would eventually you know, that's the one I want over this person. It just makes it complicated. And I wouldn't want someone I'm with to feel insecure either. It just adds a dynamic to something you don't need a dynamic to. You know, so whoever I end up with, I wouldn't say decide to be with because it's a mutual thing. A relationship's mutual, isn't it? It's not like you're the epicenter of this relationship. You to come together, you merge your worlds, and you have a common goal, and you decide to build your life together. And that's going to take some give and take. It's going to take compromise because if you truly love someone, it's like I'm going to compromise for you. You're going to compromise for me. We're going to have an overall goal together. And we're going to build and sustain something powerful for this. And it means give and take, give and take, give and take. It can't be just this is my sculpture. It has to be our sculpture. Otherwise, they don't feel part of it either. And now all of a sudden, they're just a side character. Well, in a relationship, you shouldn't have a side character. You're both prominent. But anyway, I think if you can get two powerful people together, that'd be incredible, wouldn't it? And like I said, that I am a very private person. Like I do the videos to try and help people, and it's like, but at home, I'm very private. I don't look for a huge crowd. I've never have. I don't care. I don't want it. I don't want that. I genuinely, I don't want loads of people around me. It drives me nuts because I prefer a simple life. I think life's complicated enough. I think there's always pressures. There's always people expecting of you and things like that. And I just think the less of that I have on my life, the more free I am. And I crave freedom. That's the one thing I crave in my life, freedom. So the smaller the group, the more free I am. So, like personally, I talk about it quite a lot. I have my daughter, and I want a role model for her too. I want someone who will respect her, and that's so important to me. So I wouldn't allow anything where you've got like this. I always say it to her anyway. Whoever I end up with is someone that's going to get on great with you because we have similar personalities, and I would never ever be with someone who's toxic anyway. So I'm confident that that would work either way. She's older now. I don't know where I was going. I can't remember where I was going with all that now. It's very annoying, but anyway, it's just really important we build. I think we build with people rather than pull against. And like I said, yeah. So like for instance, me, I'm happy just to have a romantic partner, potential wife, and my daughter, and that's enough of a community for me. And maybe the odd like family members who are investing in the journey, who you genuinely appreciate. You know, and you could have a good friend along the way if you truly trust them. But so far, I haven't found people I would trust, especially in partners. You know, in terms of the fact that I wouldn't trust them near someone. I don't trust them that much because people are deceptive as shit. They'll weasel their way in just to cause hassle. I don't need that in my life. So no, I'd rather keep a sanctuary at home, and that's my peace. Now, that doesn't mean someone's prisoner to me. I don't mind if someone has their own thing. So let's say I'm a private person. I'm happy for my group to be my daughter and a romantic partner, a couple of family members, of course. And then I'm busy apart from that. I'm ambitious. I've got projects, I've got hobbies, I've got interests, I've got things I want to do. And let's say the person you're with is more sociable and they like to have a group of friends around them. I've got no problem with that. You do what you want to do. If you want to spend certain days going out doing all this, it's no problem to me. You don't have to and that's the thing. It's like people don't have to worry about what I'm doing. I'm just busy. I'm just doing things. I'm not doing anything like with anybody else, if you know what I mean. That'd be my idea of a nightmare anyway. I don't like complications. So I'd be direct. If it's not working, you'd have to have the conversation. So it's not, and then come to an agreement of an ending rather than cheating. I don't like that. I always think that. I don't understand the reason for cheating. I can understand you meet someone in a relationship, but I don't understand why you do something with someone while you're with someone. Surely you can have some level of control and and respect for your partner to say, look, I think if you meet someone, it's like just put it on hold for a minute and then go and have an honest adult conversation with your partner. Explain, I've met someone. We haven't done anything. It hasn't gone anywhere. But from meeting them, I'm aware that this isn't really working, or this isn't a relationship that I thought was as strong as I thought it was. I'm not, because I think that's the thing. Whatever you say is going to hurt someone, but you're not doing it to hurt them. But I think it's really important you have an adult conversation, and then you hold yourself accountable. And it's like how they handle it isn't really your thing. So like even if, say, for instance, they get really bit vengeful, it's like I'm not asking. Unfortunately, I can't control someone's reaction, but at least I've done everything in the right stages. And now I'm a free person and I'm single, and now you can explore it. And I think that's the honest way of doing things. People often cheat just because they don't want to lose what they already have at home. That's a lot of the time, really. That's what it comes down to. They don't have the guts to take a risk. Take the risk where they have nothing, so they'd rather compromise someone else and leave them feeling that middle ground where there's not really love in the relationship, truly, is there? Because if you're doing that, you don't truly love the person, and you're prepared to disrespect them, and effectively your partner is your backup. No one deserves to be a backup. But anyway, that just shows people's levels, doesn't it? Again, I don't want a partner that behaves like that. Some people are adults, want someone that can be honest, be straightforward. Because often, if you can be transparent with each other, you can repair something before it gets worse. If you just bury your head, don't communicate, and something triggers you, that trigger's going to amplify over time. And eventually you're just going to get resentful with someone. So I think you give someone all the chance in the world to improve. It doesn't mean control people. It doesn't mean to sculpt someone into what you expect, because realistically, you knew when you meet someone, for the most part, you know what you get yourself into. Of course, people wear masks. Some people can be abusive later on. That can be the thing that changes. But apart from that, let's say you meet someone and they go and you met them in the pub. I always think this: you meet them out drinking, and then later on you're concerned they drink too much. It's like, where did you meet them? Come on, come on! You can't be that naive to think you've met them in a pub and now they like drinking. That's stupid. So I always think that, like, where's all the good guys? Well, they're not drinking their asses to death, are they? Let's be honest. You're not. They might go, oh, there's no these decent guys in the bar. Well, obviously, there might be the odd one that just got in, but for the most part, if you meet the person who's always always leaning over the bar, pissed as a fart, it's like, so you really expect them to stop drinking later? Come on. So you got to think, where would someone healthy minded be? They'd be enjoying themselves, wherever that is. Just literally living life, enjoying themselves. Or at home, building on a success, or just be relaxing. For the most part, they're probably not going to be in places you would expect. Probably not in places you expect to find someone interested in dating. Sometimes it's serendipity. That's why I see it. Let's say you like adventures and trekking and things like that. And maybe you're fed up being single and you want to meet someone. You go, I'm going to just go on dating apps, or you're going to do this, whatever. It's not working out. It's not working out because you're trying to force it. Just get on with life. Get on with life, and you bump into someone somewhere, because you bump into them doing what you enjoy, and then guess what? They've got a common interest. You literally just found them by doing something you enjoy too. I think that's the beauty of life. I think we put too much pressure on where and how we're going to meet someone. I think eventually you just get on with life and you meet them. And like I say, people can say your standards are high, but reality is, I think for many of us, at least especially me, I'm not looking for to meet 20 companions in my lifetime. I just want the one. And the sooner I meet the one, the happier I am. So I'm not looking to have a history of all these different experiences where they say, what's your quota? How many have you been? Oh, I've been with 30 people. I've been with 100. I mean, 80. It's like, you really have to go through that many people to find your person? Are you freaking crazy? How low are your standards? It's crazy. I would much rather have a low quota and I've had respect for myself, and then I've met someone who is compatible, and then you get to live a fairy tale with them. Now, life, when I say fairy tale, it doesn't mean life's easy, because I think rarely is it. But you're going to slug it out. So through the highs and the lows, you've got each other's back, and that's really what I want from someone, because I'll do the same for them. I stayed with my previous relationship longer than perhaps I should have done. I think it got to a toxic conclusion, I guess. But that's my level of loyalty, though, to my own detriment, I guess. And, I have things to learn within that. If it's not working, then I think you have to address it earlier. Um, but I would look when I even look back now, and I don't look back on purpose. I don't sort of like reminisce and go, oh, I wish it was different. I just sometimes get a bit sad that it did work out the way it did, because I just can't understand why they were so sad. And I still don't understand to this day how it got to that level, to the point where you end up breaking up and it gets that toxic to the end and that bitter. And I talk about it a lot now, where it's just hate between the two of us. There's no way of changing that, of course, because things have happened. You can't just rewind time and act like that didn't happen, because people could become incredibly toxic when they go on power trips. And especially when you've got children involved, it just changes people for some reason. But when I look back to the first year of our relationship, for instance, before my daughter was born, in that relationship, it was exciting because you got that honeymoon period, but there was like, just so much love between us. And you look back at that moment and go, where did it go wrong? I actually, I'm not trying to be perfect here, because I have my flaws. I had definitely had more flaws then than I do now. I was a hothead, more stressed at times there, so I was frustrated. I was into my games more, but they were standoffish all the time. They were hot and cold anyway. There was a dynamic between the two of us. I just guess maybe we weren't ready. I think maybe we just weren't ready, even though we were old enough. I think some people maybe mature at different ages, or you've got different expectations of life. But I've learned a lot since that, and that's raised my standards even higher. And I'm ready to compromise more maybe than I was back then. I think that's important, because I understand that two people have a journey in life. It's not just about my journey. So people might think, oh, you put yourself on a pedestal. Well, I have high standards, but I would raise whoever I'm with to the same status I see myself. Otherwise, why are we together? Um, But anyway, it's a bit of a rambly video, I think, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to go on any longer. I just want people to realize that, having high standards isn't a negative thing. People might put pressure on you to rush and get a relationship. Well, guess what? If you rush into something and you force something, do you really think an unnatural situation is going to be a beautiful ending? Like I said, I think you're better off just meeting people just by happenstance. Just go about life doing what you enjoy. And I just think you'll naturally gravitate to people who have similar interests, common ground. And I think that's just so important, because, like I said, if you force it and you go to places that you don't really want to go just because you think that's where the people will be, you're not even compatible anyway. You've already got different interests. Like me personally, I'm not a drinker. I'm not interested in going to bars. I'm not interested in nightclubs and shit like that. The flashing lights, the really loud music, everyone going mental. My idea of a nightmare, to be honest. I've always been a bit like that, really. I guess like an old man in a younger body. I'm getting older now, so finally my body's catching up with my age. But I've always been a bit like that when I was younger. People maybe consider it boring, but I thought I don't really care what people consider boring, because I just know what I enjoy. I don't never really enjoyed that really. So yeah, so me meeting somewhere. So for instance, me meeting someone there in those places, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, there's plenty of people you can meet, but that's what they like doing. I don't like doing that. So why would I want to meet someone who's into nightclubs constantly and all that shit? I don't have a chance. I'm just more of a homebody. I've always been a homebody. I like being at home. I like to make that my palace, my paradise, my inner sanctum. You can still have days out. You can have experiences. You can have holidays, travel. You still have all different things. But I think some people have a hard time staying indoors or staying at home. And I just think, why though? Like, why is it that much of a challenge to yourself that you can't be comfortable sitting still and building something that you consider a safe place? Why don't you feel safe enough in that environment, or insecure enough that you can't sit still? Because I find there is a trauma involved in that with people who can't sit still. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I have my standards, and like someone that considers my lifestyle boring isn't really compatible with me, is it? That doesn't mean they're wrong. That's fine. But my life, I'm happy. I'm happy as I am. I'm happy on my own. I can go the rest of my life alone. Yeah, it gets frustrating and it gets challenging at times, quite often. But I just think if I'm with the wrong person, it'd be even more challenging. I'd be even more exhausted, drained. At least I have my freedom, and I think that's something to cherish for sure. And I think it's important we always have our freedom. So even in a relationship, you should be free. You shouldn't be worried about someone being jealous, someone not trusting you, someone trying to control you. 'Cause like I said, if I'm in a relationship, they can do what they want. They're free human beings. Do what you want. You don't have to ask permission, but I just think have respect to inform each other and have a conversation. So if you have plans for something already, it's like understand you're maybe prepared to mess the plan up. So it's a little disrespectful, but depending on what it is. So that's one thing. If there's no plans in place and you want to do something with your friends or whatever, or this and that, it's like, by all means. So if you say, "Oh, I want a holiday with my friends and that," okay, yeah, you're just telling me. You're not asking. I hope you're not asking for permission because you don't need my permission. you know. So that's the thing. It's like, yeah, it has to be a level of trust, doesn't it? Because if you don't trust them, what's the point of being in a relationship? Um, and you have to, I guess, get the trust builds over time. I think personally. So I think sometimes, really, rather than cling so tight to someone, I think you've got to let them be free and prepared to let them go. Because why would you want someone to stay who doesn't want to stay anyway? So that's a controlling mindset, isn't it? And I think sometimes it's the best way to test someone is by letting them free anyway. Because if you're that insecure, they're going to do something or betray you in some way. It's like maybe they're not the one for you. So yeah. So like, just because I like to live a certain way, and I'm very robust in that, like, I'm a very stubborn individual. I'm still open to like different things to an extent, but I am a very stubborn person because I know what I like and I know what I enjoy. And I'm not forcing someone to do what I like and what I enjoy. But you coexist, but they're still free in their own side of their life. So, like I said, if I'm someone who only wants a core small group, that's fine for me. I'm happy. If someone decides I want a lot of friends, I want all this, again, I don't mind that. You do whatever you enjoy, but just understand that I do like my space and peace, though. So it doesn't mean you can't bring your friends round. It doesn't mean you can't have that. And I'm going to be antisocial and be rude to them because I'm good with people. But don't intrude my space completely to the point where I don't ever get my own space because then that becomes rude. It's like, again, it's his balance. We can have people sometimes, but sometimes allow me the space to have my space too. And when I say space, doesn't mean I have to sit on my own all the time. It's like I'm not that reclusive. It's like we could be together, but it's like my safe group. And yeah, and I just think that's respectful, isn't it? You're both allowing time within environments. And I think if someone takes up all your time and disrespects you, like brings all their friends constantly, for me that's disrespectful. And if you can't make space for me to appreciate what I like, then and accommodate in the same way I'm prepared to accommodate you, then it's not working anyway. And you'd have to end it. And it could be something trivial like that you think's trivial, but it's not. It's a sign of respect. And I think you see that in relationships where it's usually abusive, to be totally honest, where someone just completely obliterates someone else and they have no freedom in their life. Everything's dominated. No, that's not a relationship. That's not healthy. So I think people, just to be honest, I think they jump quickly into situations or they sustain negative situations um, just so they have something. And some people are just interested in being controlling anyway. You got to let your ego go go a bit, Stop attaching yourself to the wrong people. I'm going to disable comments on this only because I can't be asked. I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be doing my book. And the last thing I want is people just spouting negative scenarios and it affects other people having a purity of mind. Now, I understand there's time for conversation, there's time for debate. People can share that situation. Actually, sometimes it's healthy, but I think sometimes it's unhealthy as well because there are people that validate, and you find people prey on people as well. And I hate that shit when I see that when it comes to especially female content creators. I watch the videos and it's like nothing about flirting. And you get weird guys, man. There's some weirdos. And sometimes I feel like commenting, but there's too many of them. It's like, these sad acts, like, that being rude, sad act. You're not, commenting, "Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, yeah, I'll be with you." All this shit. It's like, mate, that's pathetic. It's lame. That's lame. That's not even. You're not. That's not how you're going to meet them. That's not. If you was to be a content creator, for instance, let's say someone's a content creator. Well, then they like to create content. So they like to. They've got some ambition to their life. They have interests. Now, if you're a content creator, they may come across your content and they respect that what you're doing because they do something similar. So they might reach out to you in private in a message. They might reach out in a message or something, and all of a sudden you've got a commonality because you're both content creators. So that's more likely to get someone's attention than a stupid message in a comment from someone who isn't of the same ilk. Because often they just look weirdos. In all honesty. Um, and it's like, yeah, if I just wonder how many people has it worked with, because I don't think anyone. So I just think if it hasn't worked with anyone and it is pretty lame, it's like maybe just stop doing it and just allow people to express themselves without trying to shit all over their content with stupid things. It's like it can seem innocent, but I just think it's ridiculous. Effectively, just sort of constantly sexualizing people's content. Really, that's what it comes down to when someone's just trying to be themselves and just trying to create content. It's got nothing to do with any of that. So yeah, and hopefully this helps people.